Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's daily creative challenge. Today, I will be your host for our video stream. Let me make sure everything is going well here on the chat. I can see a few people already. I can see Cody. Hi, Cody. Hi, Robert. Hi, Alessandra. I love your hair, by the way. It's kind of like mine. Oh, my hair's not down today, but I guess you tuned in yesterday in our previous stream, which is awesome. It means you're up to date. I'm glad. Curly hair gang over here. Awesome. I see Laura, I see Oliver, and Pork Chops is back in the chat. I love that. All right, so today we're going to be exploring Adobe Premiere again, and we're going to be exploring today how we can structure an engaging video story. This is going to be pretty cool because I use this template, so to speak, quite often. If you follow me on social, you'll see it and it'll be familiar to you. So let's jump into Premiere, say hello in the chat, and we'll stay in touch that way. Okay, let's jump on here onto Adobe Premiere. Pretty cool because I use this. All right, so in Adobe Premiere, we have these really cool assets that we explored yesterday. So this asset right here is our Instagram UI template. So if you didn't get to watch that stream, there's a restream available for Daily Creative Challenge Day 1. So on the chat, you should be able to see a link that will provide today's assets so we can work through today's challenge. Okay, so let's go back here to my sources. In today's assets, you're going to find these really cool folders. And the folders are going to tell you quite a bit already. We're going to explore a structure that explores the question. Question is number one. The question, the reveal, and the hook. In today's assets, okay, so import these folders in, and you should be able to see them in your source file like this. One of my favorite things is that whenever I import folders that I already organize in my deck, wherever I like to place them, I get to import them just as organized into my source file. It doesn't get scattered as just files. Okay, so we're going to see here we have question. Whenever I import folders that I already question, we have the reveal, and we have the hook. All right, let's jump into our questions. Just as organized into my source file. So I'm going to be exploring today my recent trip. Okay, so we're going to see here. This is a lefty mug, by the way. You can see it here. My recent trip to San Francisco. It's a lefty mug. Well, it's San Francisco on the other side, but I can appreciate for the lefties out there, you know? Yeah, so I recorded quite a few clips with my phone, which I wanted to bring in today. And you're going to see them on here. So part of taking someone into an engaging video that is cool and you're kind of telling a story is to take them through the process in which you arrive at that point. So it's really cool to explore the transportation. So I always think, okay, transportation, how did I get to that location, right? So I can start to ignite a sense of question. What is happening? Where am I going in this story? So you can see I recorded a set of 3 clips. So this is like a 3-set combo of the same topic, right? So I'm definitely traveling, and you can see here it's me. You can see out the window, and you can see the plane. So the first thing I want to do here, let me just set this up here. The first thing I want to do is, like we explored yesterday, we can explore in and out points in our clips, or we can just simply drag our clips over. Now these clips don't have audio, so all you're going to see is the video clips. The first thing I want to do here, now the first thing you'll see is that they're very zoomed in. That's because my phone records at around close to 4K, and this is a 1080 by 1920. So cool, we have a lot of file to work with. But what do we do if we want to resize this image? So I love shortcuts here. So we're going to go into the effect controls by holding Shift 5. Oh, we'll find the effect controls right here. I can reduce that size quite simply, right? Or I can do it in a faster way, which is something we've been exploring. So I love shortcuts. I can right click. We're going to go into the effect controls by holding. I can right click and set to frame size. Not scale to frame size because that will change the actual source clip. We're setting to frame size. So essentially it does the same thing that we try to do manually to every single video, right? So it changes it to 50%. I can right click, but instead it will do it not scale to frame all of them at once. And I think that's much better, right? Much faster. So essentially does the same thing that we try to do manually to every single video, right? So it changes it to 50%. But instead it will do it oh, cool. At once. Let's see this. And I think that's much better, right? Much faster. So essentially does the same thing that we try to do manually to every single video, right? So it changes it to 50%. But instead it will do it oh, cool. At once. Let's see this. All right, let's see what this audio thing is. Let me know if you can hear me twice now. Curious what that was. But instead it will do it. My Behance chat got me. All right, let's see what this audio thing is. Let me know if you can hear me twice now. Curious what that was. Okay, let's see. Troubleshoot real quick. My Behance chat got me. All right, let's see what this audio thing is. Let me know if you can hear me twice now. Curious what that was. That should be it, right? Give me a thumbs up on the chat. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Word, let's see. Someone's saying, is it my browser? Our Behance chat, how's it going now? Seems to have stopped. Awesome. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, David. Woo, okay. All right, so let's get back to our project here. Should be good. Let's see. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, y'all, for looking out for me here. Okay, so let's jump back into this. So we've set our frame size. So now we're to our 1080 by 1920 scale. And we're going to explore how to have a sense of cadence, have a sense of timing for our clips, right? So this is just our question. So we want to get our audience to feel a sense of question. Where is this person going? What is about to happen? But this is still our intro, so it can't take as long as this clip takes. So if I hit Command R, I can see that this clip takes around 22 seconds. That is a long time. So I can explore some of the shortcuts that we had yesterday. Make sure these are selected. These two, V1 and V3 are selected. And we can hit that C to cut in the areas that we want to cut and grab a little piece, a little chunk of this space, right? We can go from there to hitting W to ripple delete to the right. Maybe we actually want to keep that little tail right there. I might want to do that. Let's see how long that is. Okay, that says it's about 2 seconds. But what if I just want them all to have a similar cadence? I can do that too. I can select them all, hit Command R, or you can right click and find the speed and duration. And then we should be able to find the duration right here. Make sure this is unclicked so we can then set our numbers to 2 seconds. And what this is going to do is it's going to set each video to 2 seconds. Make sure your ripple, edit, delete, shifting trail clip is selected. So it squeezes together. Awesome. So I can probably remove that one. Don't think I selected that one in my selection, so I'll do it manually here again. 2 seconds. You see it shortens that video. So what's cool about this is that we get a bit of an insight on those clips, but it's moving quite rapidly, right? We want that attention grabbing question, but we don't want it to linger forever. So let's play it there. Awesome. All right. So now that you've added that question folder, let's go back to Shift 5, to go, Shift 1 to go to our source panel and go into the reveal. So the reveal is going to show us, okay, where are we going? I'm ready to find out. So I'm going to grab, we have a few clips here. We have a set of 3 clips that are horizontal, and I'll tell you the reason why I like to have those. And I have 2 clips that are vertical. So I'm going to grab the 2 vertical clips and bring them in. And you'll notice this one has an audio. For this one, I don't want any audio at all. So one of the ways to remove that audio, even though I already dragged it in, is to hold Alt or Option and click it, and that will unlink it, and then I can delete it. Okay, so then that will be my reveal moment. And just like before, I need to make sure to set to frame size so that it's a little bit zoomed out. I kind of spilled that coffee at some point, but I'm still cheering. That was so nice. All right, so that is a cool reveal right there, but it is fairly long. So I'm gonna hit the letter Q. I'm gonna make sure to lock this UI template, which I accidentally cut because I didn't lock it the first time. Hit that letter Q, right? Looking good. And now we know that we're in San Francisco, right? So it goes from here to that. Maybe we'll reveal it around here. And stop it right there. So hit that W. Awesome. So now we're practicing our quick editing skills with those shortcuts, Q and W, right? And then we see a reveal of the location. So now we have our setting. We've revealed where we are, but we're going to give some more context. Within our reveal folder, you'll also find 3 clips that are horizontal. So we're going to bring them in. And again, we run into a video that has a bit of audio, but if you hear the audio, it's just traffic. It's nothing too fun. It's not really helping that much. So holding Alt or Option, I can delete that. Okay, so again, it's zoomed in. At this point, I notice that I use set to frame size quite often. So what I might want to do for myself, instead of right-clicking and find set to frame size, is I'm going to go into Premiere keyboard shortcuts and find set to frame size. And this shortcut right here, I have brought it in from my InDesign shortcut. So in order to change the frame size in InDesign, that's the one that I'm used to. My memory goes to that. So you can use anything. You can use a single letter, you can use a combination, but there it is, set to frame size. So now I can use, for me, Shift Command C. So I can say Shift Command C and it resizes it. Quite easy, right? And it did it to all of them. And you can see there's an effect that has been applied to it. Now we don't see the other ones because they're all behind each other. So we're going to have to reposition them. But now this is where the UI template plays a role, because we can see that once we decide to move, let's go to Effect Controls. Once we decide to move the positioning of one of the video clips to the bottom, that's the one that's going to get the least attention and love because of that UI. So keep that in mind. I'm going to stack these in underneath each other like this. You can see them there. Some of them are a little bit longer than others. That's okay. We're going to fix that. And I think the one that I'm okay with putting behind this section is going to be this one. And then the other one will go to the top. Cool. So now we'll get something like this. And to make it even cooler, because we want to make sure they match at the end, we're going to hold Shift K to delete that. Make sure to lock the layers you don't want edited. Shift Command K. Yeah, Jeff's asking frame size and InDesign. Yeah, whenever you want to, it's not probably called frame sizing, but whenever you want to resize something, Shift Command C. Try it out. You'll see that something will get resized. And my hands go to that whenever I think about that concept. Okay, so let's see. That's looking good. How about we create a little bit more interest and change that timing a little bit so they appear one at a time. So you'll see there, let's make this bigger, how I'm just going to change the timing. Kind of like a staircase right here. So it'll go like this. That's a little bit fast. Let's make it a little bit further out. Awesome. So we'll see here now from our start. We posed that question, we revealed our location. Now we've given some context, right? So we're doing great so far. And we've taken into account the UI all along the way. All right, so let's go into our folders once again and explore the final hook. So the hook I interpreted as something that really feels like it adds even more to the story, right? It feels like the climactic moment. But in the nature of social media, you also want to make sure the hook is fairly quick, it's fairly fast. So you have room to increase this sense of suspense. And then once you arrive at this point, you want to make it fairly fast. So we're going to bring in all of these files together. And you'll see that these files are not listening to being very fast. They're actually fairly long. When I was filming, they were very long. Let's remove this audio right here. I can also import it without audio and remove that, but just for the sake of dragging them all, I can just do that and remove them all. All right, so I have these really cool moments that I encountered in San Francisco. What a cool city, right? So this is, I captured quite a lot of this, but I definitely want to grab the moment where they unite and do that really cool circle there. So I think it was essentially for the celebration of Hispanic heritage. And I love that I just bumped into this while exploring San Francisco. Okay, so let's hit that letter Q. So it ripple deletes. Let's watch that one more time. Where the playhead is, we're gonna go up to here, ripple delete. I'm good there. Hit W. And now we have this moment right here. I can tell this is zoomed. Let's make sure it's not zoomed. Shift Command C. For me, choose your favorite key combination. And I think I like it around there. So something you'll notice is that all of these particular clips that I picked, although they're not in the same subject matter, right? They're all exploring San Francisco. But one of the things that is cool about them is that they all have a point of interest in the center and around the same scale, almost about. So I think that's good enough for me to combine them into a section right here. I like when she's around here. Yeah, around there. This is a cool coffee shop. Looking good. I'll just remove what I don't want. I can point at this, but I kind of like the people there a little bit more. So I'll leave it at that. But still, you'll notice that this section is a little bit jagged, right? We have a lot of different timings going on. And we don't have a song. We're not following a song, but we have some consistency and we want to keep that consistency going. So let's hit Command R or right click to find that speed duration. And we can set this, remove that link, remember that. And we can set this to 2 seconds, 2 whole seconds, right? Let's do that. Select that ripple delete, like I said earlier, and you can see what happens there. So that gets squeezed together and the timing is exactly the same. So now when they play, this is more likely to fit to any song you pick on social media thereafter, right? Because now we have consistency, we have a cadence going on, we have a structure in our story, right? We have a question, we post a question, we revealed an answer, and we created more context. And now we have these really cool elements, climactic elements. I can already hear the song that I might pick for this down the road. Okay, so now we're nearly at the end. So let's hit our out point right here, right? We're at our out points. And one of the things I want to explore for Instagram or for social media in general, one of the things that happens is that your video gets looped, right? So in order to replicate what that experience is like, we're going to go into this button right here and find this loop button. This is a loop button from the button editor, and we can drag it into our menu, which I already have. It's right here for me. And when I click that loop button, what's going to happen is when it reaches the end, it will automatically go to my endpoint. See that? So that's going to be really helpful. It's not going to export as a loop, but it's helpful for us to explore how we treat that endpoint and that beginning point. So one of the things I like doing, there's many ways to create a loop transition. It could be a video transition. It could be an audio transition. A lot of people experiment with that. Today, we're going to be exploring a Premiere specific one. We're going to do transitions at the end of the video and at the beginning of the video that allows them to loop. So let's go into effects. And let me give you a quick example what that would look like. So for example, if I go into cross dissolve, let's just put cross dissolve because it's the easiest one so far. Cross dissolve, that will dissolve there. This will dissolve at the beginning as well. So when you watch that happen, watch that loop, that was easy. That wasn't as harsh, right? And that's just using cross dissolve. But we can also use other things. For example, if we want to use cross zoom at the beginning, cross zoom at the end. Let's play that again. Right, we can make it a little bit faster maybe, so that impact is a little bit more obvious. We can also double click this and change the duration, by the way. So we can double click this and change it to 14. Set that to 0 right there, 14 and 14. And let's try that out. That's loop. Perfect. Let's try one more here. So what if we did a wipe loop? That wipe loop is going to the right. Let's see where it goes on this one. It goes to right. So not much to do there. We don't have to modify it. We just got to make sure to add those transitions at each end. And that's going to make it easy for the person to want to rewatch it. It entices them to want to re-see the entire scene. So you'll see the context, clip, clip, clip. And you can make this section even shorter to just get them excited to rewatch that loop. Jeff says, this is awesome. I love the San Francisco videos. I can't find common shift to see in InDesign. Nothing happens. Oh no, maybe I have it a different way. This loop stuff is so useful. I love that. Frame size. Okay, make sure to get your starter kit so you can see this effect, but you're welcome to use your own files as well. And if you want to learn more about these type of storytellings through shorts, which is quite interesting. I find myself exploring it in different ways. You can check out my YouTube channel and you'll see some really cool stories. I did a series that I really enjoyed, and it was called Welcome to the Weekend. And every single time I explored retelling a story for the weekend. So definitely feel welcome to explore those areas and get inspired. This is always so much fun, and exploring a new concept with you and being part of the chat. And thank you for looking out for me right at the start. We'll be here again for Daily Creative Challenge Day 3 on Thursday. So make sure to get your file assets for that and come ready to work along. See you guys.